Hey there. I am going to work on day 4 of my 30-day art challenge. I'm just a little bit behind, but I'm going to try to catch up today. And so day 4 is doing a piece of art from your childhood memory. And so I have a picture of my grandfather and I, and he is the one who inspired me to be an artist when I was a little girl. He died when I was 11, but he doesn't know, well, he does know because he's up in heaven, and he does know that I'm an artist now, but back then he didn't know that I would one day become an artist. And I don't do people, but I'm going to attempt to do this. That's why it's a 30-day art challenge. It challenges us to get out of our comfort zone a little bit and try different things. So that is what I'm going to attempt today. But before I start, you know, I do all this acrylic pouring, and I had a table full of paint, and I took up most of it, but I wanted to show you these drips that dried from my painting called His Glory. I had a ton of runoff, and I wanted to show you this big piece that peeled right off my butcher paper. And all the magnificent shapes and these drips. There's just all kinds of neat stuff going on this paint skin. So I wanted to show you that up close and personal. It's almost like vinyl. After you peel it off of your butcher paper, it almost feels like vinyl. And it's still kind of cool to the touch, but you cannot let it fold over and touch itself, or it will stick and you can't get it undone. But here's the back side even, which it has a totally different look. But there's even really cool things, and what happens on the back side is you see whatever hit the paper first. That's what's going to show up on the back side. So sometimes there's just really cool little patterns that happen on the back side just as well. So make sure to look on the back of your skins as well. So what I do is I take a piece of freezer paper, and I lay it on the freezer paper and layer it up so that nothing else will be touching it. These were also a few pieces that I peeled up. That one is really pretty. This one is so, but the back was prettier. On this one, the back was prettier than the front side. Well, no, that's the back. So this is the front side. So I'm saving those, and like here's a piece that is darker colors, but what happens is when you put your glass cabochon, when you glue it on top of your acrylic skin, the glass cabochon gets glued on top of it, and then it gets glued into your jewelry tray setting. That glass will intensify the color and magnify the pattern, kind of the way varnish does, but with the glass cabochon, it's almost like a magnifying glass. So it really enhances your design of your paint. And these are some beautiful little, there's lots of little drips that are very multicolored. So I'm saving them. And once again, I'm laying them out. Like this here, it folded over, and there's no way that I'll be able to get that apart because it just sticks terribly. So I'm going to lay these aside, put it in my stack with my other paint skins, and here's the rest of what's left of my nasty table. I got the biggest part of the paint off. It took several days for that paint to dry because it was so thick on the table. So I was kind of waiting on the paint to dry before I peeled it up and saved it. So here is a piece of cardboard, and I've taken watercolor paper, which is really a thick watercolor paper, and I've taped it down and left a little bit of a border on the edge of my paper because I'm not sure if I'm going to frame this piece or what. I guess it all depends on how it turns out. But I've got my photograph. So this was taken back in the 60s, and it's grainy because, you know, photographs from back then were not clear and precise like they are today. So this is the best that I could get it to print. It's very grainy. And I do things kind of the old-fashioned way. You can use a piece of carbon paper to put it down between your paper and your photo. Or this is, you know, copy paper. But I do it the old-fashioned way. I take a pencil and I draw on the back and scrub in the pencil marks, and then I turn it over and I place it where I want the picture to be. And I'm going to tape down my corners so it doesn't move. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace over with a ballpoint pen that has a harder tip. I'm going to press down and transfer the shapes of this photo. I'm also getting all my stuff together and all my paints moved in. I'm going to use DecoArt paints today. They're craft paints and they're good quality. They dry quickly. I also have my blow dryer available. But I don't want this to take forever because it is just an art challenge and I've got other things I need to do. So I'm going to bring in my paint brushes and everything around me. I've got my cup of water. I have my pencil, my eraser, which is very important when you transfer your design. Sometimes the pencil will get onto the white areas of the paper that you don't want it to be on, and so you're going to want to erase the smudges, basically. So there's that. So I also have my photo pulled up on my laptop sitting right here, and when you go over this drawing with the pen, it's going to pretty much ruin the overall effect of this picture to refer to, because you're going to take away some of the detail. So I always say print out 2 copies, or just have your reference pulled up on your computer screen so that you can, you know, constantly refer back to that. So what I'm doing is just outlining the major shapes of the darks and light areas. And if you don't know if you're pressing hard enough for the pencil to transfer, untape one corner and take a look to make sure you can see your pencil mark, and then just put it back. Don't move the whole picture because then you won't be able to get it back to the same spot. But you do need to just make sure that you're pressing hard enough to get that pencil mark to show. So my grandfather was an oil painter, and that's not my forte. Oil painting is not my forte. So yes, he designed store displays in the windows and all that back before that kind of thing was ever really a big thing, and he was just super talented. His paintings were very otherworldly, kind of science fiction-y. They always had kind of some odd kind of feel to them, a little bit mystical, just very unusual. And so I used to sit in his lap. He smoked a pipe. So every time I smell a pipe, it brings back fond memories of my grandfather. And I would sit there and watch him paint, and he just had a very unique and unusual style. And he was very influential in me just becoming interested in art at a very early age. even though I never did anything with it. I doodled through high school, and I used to draw things and did funny things with people's names, made them all kind of funny looking and shapes and things, but I never really did anything with art other than that throughout my teen years. And I started a family, I had my children, and did not even start my art career, which I basically just started on my own, self-taught, became a decorative artist in the mid-90s, and did that for almost 20 years. And I just kind of learned as I went, and I was actually very, very good at it and was very successful. And I moved away 4 years ago when I remarried, and now I do what I do. I do canvas paintings, and then I've gotten into the fluid art, and I'm also trying to become a little bit more of an abstract, open, flowing kind of artist. I'm trying to get away a little bit from the realism, even though I do like to do realism. Like, I'm going to try to make this kind of look real, but not a lot, because this is not something I'm trained in. And to do portraits, you've got to know quite a bit, I think enough to be a successful portrait artist. This is definitely something I am not comfortable with as an artist to do for other people. I've been commissioned to do a family portrait of 4 people, but he said that my interpretation could be abstract, it could be, you know, anything I kind of want it to be, so I'm going to attempt to do that, but it's definitely not going to be my comfort level. So I'm thinking on this, I'm going to use my acrylics, but also kind of make it a little bit on the watercolory side. That gives me a little bit more freedom, I think, to not make it quite so realistic. We will see how this goes. I'm not sure, really, at this point. There's a lot of areas where the lightness of my hair even blends into the white in the sky, because the sky's not even blue, it's white looking in this photograph. So there's a lot left to your imagination as far as that goes. So what I've done is I've outlined all the darker areas. So the main thing at the beginning is to get those light and dark areas kind of situated. This is going to be quite a challenge for me. Okay, so this is basically trash. So I've got the photo pulled up on my laptop. I did go ahead and print another one just so I can pick it up and kind of look at it comparatively, like right side by side. I think what I'm going to do first is like put in the really dark areas first, just to kind of go ahead and get that kind of put into the equation. Also, I'm going to finish out a few lines or places that I kind of missed, maybe. Did not mean to pick this color up. This is black pearl, and I don't need pearl. And for a drawing this size, it takes really very little paint, I'm sure. So I have my water cup on top of a piece of paper towel just to wipe my brush off and all. And I'm also going to keep a damp paper towel available to dab. If I need to dab something a little bit with a damp paper towel, I'll have that right there. And then I also have a dry paper towel just in case I need it. Basically, just really fast, the colors, I've picked about every color in the rainbow, even though I may not use it all. I have titanium white, primary yellow, orange flame, true red, Tuscan red, carousel pink, black plum, burnt sienna, primary magenta, bittersweet chocolate, dioxazine purple, purple rain, ultra blue deep, Prussian blue, evergreen, peacock teal, bright blue, sea breeze, Kelly green, sour apple, evergreen. So I've got all those colors. So I've got a little bit of every color just to kind of help me get through this. So what I do is I kind of go around just to start out with the kind of a rainbow of colors. I will not use more than a few drops of any of those really, but I'm just kind of putting out some colors initially. Because sometimes I will mix a color and then I want to warm it up or cool it up, and so I like to grab from other areas of other colors. So while I'm doing skin tones and shadows and things, this is what I'm going to put on my plate to use. I've got a Payne's Gray and a Prussian Blue. That's Black Pearl, which I probably won't use. Could use that on his glasses a little bit. That's Lamp Black. That is Bittersweet Chocolate. This is Black Plum, Burnt Sienna, Orange Flame, True Red, and actually I want to put down a little bit of Tuscan Red as well, which is deeper, Marigold, and I'm going to put some True Ochre down, which is a deeper gold. This is also their matte medium. I'm going to put a little bit in the middle. This kind of helps extend your paint. It's actually transparent even though it looks white. I'm going to put some in with this just to help it maybe stay wet a little bit longer. This is the Prussian Blue. This is the Payne's Gray. And I'll put some black in. Now I'm going to add a little white just to soften it. And then I want to warm it up with some brown. I put some Black Plum in, adding water to it to make it more watercolory. If you don't shake your bottles first, you'll have that happen, which is the clear part and not the color part. I'm trying to get that off my plate. So why don't I add some purple in here? Red. so. Like I said, I don't do people, so I feel pretty good about this. It's not perfect, but I can tell it's my grandfather. I can tell it's me, and I'm pretty pleased with it. So I hope you enjoyed watching me paint it. Take off the tape. See, this also can tear the edge. This is actually, it was acrylic paper. I did a little bit better on this side than I did on the other side. So if you take it, see it's tearing the white part of the paper, but that's okay. I don't know if I'm going to frame it or keep it, or I'll wait and I'll keep it for sure. But he was a very gifted man, talented man. He's very quiet, very much an introvert. Not like me. I'm not an introvert, even though I do like to be by myself. I'm looking at it in the camera and I can't tell. It looks a little bit, the perspective looks a little different in the camera than it does in front of me, so I'm not sure how it comes across in the camera. Trying to get the lighting right here too. Here I am. And this is, like I said, acrylic paper. It's kind of cardboard sounding. Let me go get the pad. I remembered someone in the acrylic pouring group mentioned it, and I ordered a pad from Amazon. You can probably find it at the art store or craft store. It's Strathmore acrylic paper. There's 10 sheets in a pad. They're 9 by 12 and they're 246 pounds. So they're pretty substantially thick, and it says a linen finish. So there is some texture to it. Almost like as if you were painting on a canvas. Acid-free, and it says it's for acrylic painting. So I bought this instead of like watercolor paper because I thought it might be a little sturdier if I wanted to do a pour on it. But she had mentioned in her, wherever I saw it, that you have to tape it down to something and paint the whole thing and then let it dry totally, so that when you take it off of the cardboard, it's not warped. So you have to let it totally dry and then remove it from the cardboard. And since I was kind of layering this up, kind of like watercolor, it's not, my paint's not super thick, but I can feel a ridge where the tape was and where I painted it. So, you know, there's some paint on here, but it's not, it didn't bleed through or anything like that. 30-day challenge to paint something from a childhood memory. And like I said, my grandfather was very influential in my life as an artist and very dear to me. And I lost him when I was, I think, about 12 years old, 11 or 12. And so I wanted to paint something with him in it. So there it is. If you enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. Go follow me on Instagram. I've got a Facebook group. If you go and click down below. If you are a subscriber, there's a bell. Click on it. You'll get notifications every time I post a video. These were all DecoArt paints. They're tried and true. They're great for crafting. You can do really good quality stuff with DecoArt paints. I'm really pleased. And I'm really kind of proud of this. I didn't think I could do it as well as I did. And it's not perfect, but I am very happy with it. Where it says show more, There is a PayPal link if you want to support me and contribute a few dollars or so to help me continue to paint and get the supplies and things to show you more fun paintings, then please do that. I would love it. I would greatly appreciate it, and I appreciate you following my journey, and I'll see you on the next project.